Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. This is another what's for dinner recipe video with some super easy dinner ideas and just really good family favorites. These aren't exactly the most healthy, but they are delicious and my family really enjoyed them. So I hope you'll get some good ideas and let's get on into the rest of the video. First up, we have this spaghetti chicken carbonara situation here. And this was the first time I've ever made it this way. And it was pretty good, but I probably will do a few things different if I decide to make it again. But I'm going to start off by boiling a pot of salted water, and then I'm going to add my spaghetti noodles. Sometimes I break my spaghetti when I make it, sometimes I don't. But this time I just decided to leave them whole. And then to my pan, this pan is really hot. I'm going to add some chopped up bacon. You can use the bacon pieces if you want, but I wanted to cook my chicken in the bacon fat, so that's why I did it this way, and I just made sure everything was separated and cooking as evenly as it could. While my bacon was cooking, I went ahead and chopped up one chicken breast and seasoned it with this buttery steakhouse seasoning, as well as this grinder of Italian herb seasoning that I got from Sam's. I do wish I would have done a little more chicken, so I probably will do 2 chicken breasts next time I make it. But this chicken had excellent flavor and it really added to the dish. Now I'm going to finish cooking my bacon and make sure it's as crispy as I want it to be and just let it kind of do its thing. Here I'm just draining all the little bacon pieces, getting them out of the grease before I go ahead and add my chicken to this very same pan. Now to make the carbonara like sauce, for lack of a better term, I used 4 eggs, and I think if I were to do this again, I would only use the egg yolks. I've seen recipes 2 different ways, and I just think the yolks would be a lot creamier and better. But I'm going to add a little bit of milk. You can use heavy cream or whatever. And then some Parmesan cheese. Obviously fresh would be better. But this is all I had. And so then I threw in some of that Italian herb grinder that I seasoned the chicken with and just mixed everything up as good as I could. Once my chicken was done, I just removed it to that same paper towel lined plate that the bacon's on. And I kind of drained this grease off a little bit and scraped up some of the crusty bits on the bottom. But everything was done cooking at this point. You're just going to add your noodles into I put the chicken and bacon back in the pan. I'm going to add my noodles straight to it. I didn't drain them, and I left a lot of the pasta water on there as I pulled them out because you want that pasta water to kind of thicken the carbonara sauce. But first, I'm going to toss everything in the chicken and bacon and kind of scrape up a little bit of those juices that are on the bottom. Then I'm going to add my egg mixture. I used an immersion blender to get everything really smooth and just kind of mix it in really, really well. You don't want everything too hot because you don't want to scramble your eggs, but you do want to eat like a nice hot dish, But it's going to look a little runny at first, and that's fine. Just let it thicken a little. I did add a little bit more noodles because there was a lot of sauce for how many noodles there were. But you're just going to stir it and then let it sit for a few minutes. And this is how it turns out. It was really good. I think fresh Parmesan would be a lot better. It needed a little more seasoning. And like I said, more chicken, but it was pretty good. And up next, we have this chicken Ritz casserole. I grew up with my mom making this. There's a lot of different recipes on the internet. But to start with my chicken, I just cooked it in the slow cooker with some garlic and onions. This is my first time using these onions, and they're weird. But and then I threw in a little bit of chicken bouillon and then a tiny bit of water just so they could kind of steam. Put those on high and let them cook for about 3 or 4 hours just until the chicken was done. Once it was done, I just went in with my mix and chop tool and shredded the chicken really fast. It was super tender, and I just want to let it sit in this chicken broth kind of juice for a little bit just so it reabsorbs some of that moisture and flavor. I really cannot stand dried chicken, but whenever it's time to make the mix everything together, I'm going to take that chicken and drain it just a little bit. I don't want it too juicy, and add it to a bowl. And then I'm going to add in a can of cream of mushroom soup. Cream of chicken actually works a little better in my opinion, but I only had cream of mushroom and I did not feel like making any homemade cream of chicken. But then you're going to add sour cream, or I use Greek yogurt. That's just always what I use in place of sour cream. And then mix everything together really, really well. You want everything, the same. Once it's all mixed together, I'm going to spray this tiny little casserole dish and then dump my mixture in. And then I'm going to top it with some crushed up Ritz crackers and just a little bit of butter. I baked it at 350 for about 25-30 minutes. You just want the topping to be like golden brown and crispy. Everything's already cooked through, so you don't have to worry about raw chicken or anything. But like I said, this is something my mom made when I was growing up, and it's one of my favorite casseroles, and it's worth using the cream of whatever soup you put in it. It's just so good and comforting. And finally, I have this beefy taco enchilada skillet rice situation. I just kind of made this up. I didn't really follow a recipe. I just started by cooking 1 pound of ground beef, and I just lightly seasoned it because I am going to be putting a lot of seasonings in later, and I didn't want it to be too salty or the flavors to not mesh well together. But I mean, I'm sure you all know how to cook ground beef. I'm just going to cook it until it's all the way done. This beef was pretty lean, so there wasn't a lot of fat to drain off, but I'm just going to add 1 packet of enchilada seasoning. Sometimes I think you could use taco seasoning. I have made that before, and it turns out pretty similar. But then I'm going to add about 3.5 cups of water and make sure everything is mixed together. That seasoning is all dissolved and mixed around. And then I'm going to add a little bit of chicken bouillon just to give it a little more flavor, and then 1.5 cups of washed jasmine rice. Then I'm going to mix all that together, bring it up to a boil and let it boil for just a second. Then I'm going to reduce the heat to a simmer and put a lid on and let it go for about 20-25 minutes, stirring occasionally. And this is it. I topped it with a little bit of Greek yogurt, some cheddar cheese, and it kind of reminds me of the cheesy enchilada hamburger helper. It's really, really good. But that's going to be all the recipes for this video. If you're interested in more cooking videos, I have a whole playlist. All the recipes will be linked down below. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye.